Good evening. Welcome to the June 23rd, 2026 Select Board meeting. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxborough Cable Access. We are going to go into executive session, but before we do that, we'll do the pledge. And when we come back out we'll come back out into open session after.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. We'll be returning in just about a half hour. All right, we're back out of executive session. Sorry that took a little bit longer than we anticipated. We will go right into citizens' input. Do we have anybody online? No one? Nobody in the room? Okay. We'll go to town select board goals and town manager goals. Ready to
Yes, I am.
rock and roll?
So I did send out draft goals to the board for review last week, and I'll just go through them now. So there's some overlap with what we've done in the years past. So goal 1, in continuing on our vein on communication, transparency, and public trust. So I'm not going to go through every word, but basically it's involving a crisis communication plan. Again, keeping regular communication maintained, expand as needed, continuing with the Fox alerts and promoting that, again, trying to get more signups, and then continuing to keep residents and the board and everybody updated through public forums, newsletters, and what. So really a focus on being transparent and trying all ways possible to get the word out to residents, even if they don't want to hear from us. So, any concerns with that goal?
No.
Okay. Goal 2 was to maintain long-term financial sustainability and fiscal stewardship. So these are some easy ones that are no-brainers. I mean, a fiscally responsible budget. Again, much like we did this year, is trying to increase the public understanding of town finances. Marie was involved in this part of it, so she knows that. So we worked together on that. One of the things we do want to do is look at town fees and make sure that they're fair but they're providing enough. We know some of the select board fees are a little low right now, so we need to evaluate that based on the level of service. Again, we're not in the business to charge fees to make a profit. It's to cover our costs. Always managing legal expenditures. Got to admit that's getting a little harder right now, but we do with our departments anyway. We have a firm handle on that. The next one, this is a new one. Ensure major events and growth opportunities support the town's financial and operational objectives, including evaluation of the town's long-term financial relationship with Kraft Sports and Entertainment, municipal service demands, and cost recovery opportunities associated with stadium operations. So that pretty much reflects like where we are right now, obviously. And then the last one is continue to position Foxborough as a leader in municipal financial management through adherence to the best practices and pursuit of professional excellence, which sounds, little woo-woo, but it really just means continue to go for GFA recognition program, and then any other programs or opportunities Marie wants to pursue. We are trying to maintain the highest standard. Any questions, thought on that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Goal 3 is to complete and begin the implementation of the town-wide strategic plan. That throws me off because I'm like, how can we do it? But it's to complete the actual plan and then to begin the implementation. So we'll do that. We're seeking select board adoption in the fall, then to start working on priority initiatives that we'll be working on in FY28 and beyond, start incorporating strategic priorities into the budget and goal setting, developing a framework to monitor implementation to make sure that this plan doesn't sit on the shelf, and then make sure that the residents and stakeholders are fully aware and get some buy-in. So, thoughts on that? Okay. Goal 4 is to advance strategic redevelopment and economic vitality. That has to do with the state hospital redevelopment. Continue to work on that. We're hoping in the fall to get towards developer selection. We're continuing to work with DCAM on that. Support implementation of Neponset Ave strategy. Now that the caveat on that is obviously that could change at any time if if Schneider moved forward with the sale, but I know Catherine is planning workshops in the fall. I'm sorry, at the end of this month, at the end of July, sorry, to start the conversation. And while I understand summer's a tough time, we don't feel like we have, again, we're always behind the 8 ball with Schneider and town meeting. So she's going to do the best. All 3 will be the same. So it's not like people have to come to 3, but she's just trying to reach people where they are. Continue to focus on Uptown Foxborough, including 75 Central Street, the liquor licenses, keeping Foxborough Common and Business Collab. Yes, sir.
So on this particular one, though,
Yes.
because of the vitalization thing, it maybe not really doesn't fit under this, but I think we really need to have a placeholder for it, and that is, and I know you and I have talked about that, and this is the dealing with the potential for a data center, and wanting to try to make sure we can limit that. I've been watching around the country and the state, and other towns are jumping on this, but the problem is the Schneider property itself has a huge power plant, which is what these data centers are looking for. And most of the mill complexes all had that kind of capacity. So it's, something that could conceptually be brought to our attention very quickly here. I would prefer that the town makes a decision prior to that, so like a fall meeting where we potentially say whether or not we are in favor or against having data centers within the town's border.
Absolutely. The good news is Chris Gallagher has said that we don't have the water to support a data center, but the other better news is that Catherine's already working on it and plans to bring it forward at the fall town meeting. So I can add in if you want me to add
I think
in
it's a high
number 5.
priority in my mind. I don't know.
I think it's a good idea to have it in here, and then
Yeah.
it's top of mind. If we ever had to have justification of why something was being denied, it would
Yeah.
be that. So I will incorporate that in as number 5
Okay.
under goal 4.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point to add it on. I know we've talked about it in the past, and I
Yeah.
know, but to have it as a high priority, I think
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. I think Mansfield already
They did.
nixed it.
Yep.
Yeah,
They already
Passed, yeah.
yeah, that they, yeah.
And I think that's a critical thing for the community to be
agree.
aware of and
Yeah.
decide.
Okay. Any other comments on this goal 4? And goal 5 is invest in workforce excellence and organizational sustainability. And this has to do more with in our town workforce, is work with HR to publish a comprehensive employee benefits guide to improve employee awareness. We haven't done that since I've been here, so that's something we want to update. We want to update and modernize town employment and human resources policies to ensure that we're compliant. I know Mike has noted that it hasn't been updated since here, and it's kind of all over the place, so we want to make sure we're meeting all the standards there. We want to finalize a restructuring of the Human Resources Office with enhanced alignment between human resources, benefits, administration, and payroll functions. That's something that's been in progress. We want to finalize that. And then expand employee training and leadership development opportunities. And lastly, continue employee engagement and recognition initiatives.
So I think I'd like to, again, bring this to the board and let the board make a decision, but one of the issues that we've been facing the last few years is with the Personnel Wage Board, and that is that we technically have one candidate currently, so they do have the rep from the AdCom, but they technically can't vote because it's a 5-member board, so they can't vote on anything right now. And it's been a recurring problem where we just can't get people that, want to volunteer. And in that particular area, I kind of look at it like with the building committee where we try to get people who have trade or, engineering or something in a background so that they understand what we're talking about when we're doing building. You have to have the same thing when you're with the Personnel Wage Board. They have to understand what benefits are. They have to understand how to analyze salaries and schedules and stuff like that. And right now, the way the process is technically supposed to work, but really can't, is it goes to them, then it comes to us, where, my opinion is right now we can't even go to them because they can't vote, so it should be coming to us anyway to make the decisions on some of these things that are getting presented. But I think we need to look at that and decide whether or not having a Personnel Wage Board or how it functions, if there isn't a better way to do it, I guess, because we're not succeeding right now.
And I agree, Bill. I think, and Mike can probably speak to this too, is it's not just the expertise, but it's it really is superfluous in a way, because everything has to come to you anyway. So they can vote, but really it's the select board's decision. So I don't know, sometimes that probably doesn't feel great if you're a board that reviews things, but then ultimately, you're not really that much of a decision maker, and you got to pass it
They're
on.
also
See,
putting stuff together, aren't
Yeah.
they? And like,
Well, I view the wage board, the real responsibility is to vet something and, based on doing some of their analysis, to tell us why they do or don't believe that this change is the right change to make or whatever. Not really to make the decision, but to basically be like the AdCom to recommend to us,
Yeah.
different things. And so, again, I think if we keep it, I think it needs to evolve. But we also, if we can't get community people activated to do it, then we need to evolve ourselves too.
Okay, I can add that as number 6 to that one as well, to take a look at that, and, no direction per, just to evaluate its
Yes, evaluate
effectiveness and figure
and-
out what it's supposed to
right.
do and
Maybe
how we
what
can
other
achieve
towns
that.
do,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe what other towns do.
so
Yeah.
we can take a look at that. And that's all I have, so it's the 5 goals with a bunch of objectives, and what we do is we typically include this in the GFOA book, budget book, but also I use them as my guiding, and that last year, you review me based on these, so it's kind of town, but also town manager goals. So I would love a motion to approve them as amended if possible.
Yep.
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed?
you.
Hearing none? Thank you. Okay. Kraft Sports and Entertainment Appeal. Again, this is just to kind of give an update. I know the community understands that the Kraft organization has filed suit against the town based on our license renewal request for the FY '27. Is that what it's, no, it's FY '26.
26, 27.
Yeah, 26, 27 year. So as it stands today, basically, they are not in agreement with the town stance on holding or requiring that they pay for costs that are outside of just event day that the town's incurring. They have submitted some proposals that they say or think would be advantageous to the town. However, in those proposals, it would be something where the town would also have to accept all cost relative to the stadium, meaning all police details, all insurance policies and everything of that nature. What the board has said at this point is, we can really not make a decision without definitive knowledge how this would impact the town going forward, and quite honestly, we would need to hire a consultant that could give us some insight better than maybe we could as a group that might have some expertise in this area. The problem, and I don't think the residents understand this, and I just want to make it very clear, is that the initial lease basically covered a period of 30 years, and actually started 32 years ago, but they didn't actually occupy for a couple years before because they were building the structure. That part of the lease doesn't expire for another 12 years. The lease also has 4 periods of extension, automatic if they want, not if we want or don't want. One is for 5 years, and then there are 3 10-year lease options. So that would bring us out from today about 47 years. And any adjustment that we would make to the lease to under a different arrangement would be, potentially under that period, maybe with renewal openings type of thing. However, we've also tried to make it clear that based on the fact that the lease was approved by the Board of Selectmen, but then approved by town meeting, that any substantive change to the lease would have to go back to town meeting for approval as well, which we believe we're right on, according to our legal counsel. So I think, at this point, we've got a lot of work to do to review this. And, they've made a few modifications over the last month. But, the suit is, in their mind, something that protects them because they aren't in agreement with the cost that we are assessing them. And they had a time frame of June 15th in which they had to make a gesture one way or the other, either accept what we were doing or file suit. They chose to file suit. So again, that will go on potentially while there are some other negotiations going on the cost. But it is very hard, I think, at this point for this board to accept the concept of assuming all costs going forward without really being able to determine what that will look like 10 years, 15 years, 20, 40 years from now. So, so that's just a quick update. That's where we are. We're not openly negotiating in the public right now here, but we just wanted to update the town again, because we didn't want anybody saying that we weren't being transparent as to what the issues were. Does the board have anything to say to that?
Well, really, the process is also going to take months.
Yes. Oh, yeah. This is not going to be. Thank you, Doug. As laid out, I mean, if we were just to follow the legal process without even considering any kind of proposals coming from this, this literally could go into next year. So, I don't want anybody to sit there thinking that there's going to be a quick resolution to this, unless we were to get some kind of proposal that made sense to the town financially. So, anything else? Anybody else?
No, thank you, Bill.
Okay. Move on to the next item. Of course, I just got bumped out.
And we have
Town manager
the town
transfers.
manager transfers.
Okay.
So this is a sort of routine process that's done at the end of every fiscal year to sort of balance out expenses. So we have some town manager expenses that are related to ADA compliance, some advertising fees came in much higher this year, and some strategic plan expenses. That was $6,400. And salaries, we're looking at $4,200 for retirement payouts, employee departures from the finance, on the finance side.
42,000.
42,000,
I
yeah,
said 4,200.
42,000. Yeah. Also, let's see, 30,000 for additional ambulance building and banking fees. That's based on volume. There was 14,000 for additional federal audit costs. That's actually associated with, I believe, Marie, the Kraft, because we have a federal grant for the Crafts, or is that something different? Is that next year and this is our grant? Next year. Okay, so we know we have 14,000 coming next year because of the FEMA grant, but this is related to our current, did we get a FEMA grant? Is that what we're?
Yeah, we had several.
Can you come up to the?
So typically, the federal grant audit is, usually it only covers the school department because they're the department that spends the most federal funds, but in fiscal year '25, we had, Fire had a large grant that they used for their SCBA equipment. And then you had, the other major program was, they actually had Fire had two grants, and then the school lunch was also audited. And from what CLA, our audit firm, explained to us is when they submitted their proposal, they included one major program. We had three. Each additional one comes at a $7,000 cost. And when they go to do the fiscal year 26 audit, we will have the counter UAV grant, the FEMA World Cup grant, and what else may come up. So right now we're looking at another 14,000 minimum, could be maybe 21, 28,000. We don't know yet.
Yep. Okay. Next is $400 for the printing of AdCom recommendations. Then we have $30,000 in increased fuel costs, gas and diesel. That's for central maintenance. Also in central maintenance was public safety phone system. That was really old, and we actually got a very good deal on that one because Semrec took it over, and we had gotten quotes for tens of thousands of dollars, and this was 10,000, so it's a good deal for us. Police salary, there's 64,000, and that's because uniforms were shifted into the salary budget. Fire expenses, we had 20,000 on apparatus repair. Joint Public Safety Building salaries, we're dealing with a custodian who's out on leave, so right now we're paying overtime to a school custodian to clean the building. We have DPW for $20,000 due to increased electricity costs. This is the biggie, $339,210 salary costs for snowstorms. Snow and ice was $2,990 for increased equipment and fuel costs for the snowstorms. Solid waste, we had $30,000 for the new solid waste recycling contract. Debt service interest was $16,000. This is interest on the new excluded debt, and it was charged once the bond sale was finalized. And then risk management, we had $20,000 for deductibles for police and fire, additional endorsements. So the total was $655,000. It definitely snow and ice. Marie, if you want to, and then do you want to just explain where it's coming from and sort of, not, you don't have to go line by line, but I think explaining where the excess is and then sort of what we're hoping to do with snow and ice.
Yep, so the snow and ice deficit alone makes up about 52% of these transfers. And what we were also able to do, so the state in the governor's supplemental budget, I believe it's $80 million is being distributed out to each municipality based on your share of locally owned road mileage. So Foxborough is going to get actually $247,293.86, and we will be using that to cover the remainder of the snow and ice deficit. So in this case, we'll be wiping out the entire snow and ice deficit using some of that state money. We had, so on the town manager budget, where the $6,400 is just being shifted from their salary budget, where they had some surplus due to the splitting of the payroll and benefits position between HR and finance. Police, we're shifting $64,000 from their capital outlay budget up to the salary budget, so that's another transfer that's within the same budget. What else? Fire, we're using some of their surplus, so both police and fire are required to have a holiday payout line based on their collective bargaining agreements. Now, that doesn't mean that you're required to have the budget, but it doesn't mean that they're going to use 100% of that budget year after year. So in this case, to cover the fire apparatus repairs, we're shifting money from salaries down to expenses. What else? In the debt service expense budget, we have a line for $25,000 that we use for any short-term, borrowing costs that we may incur, or if we issue any bonds. We didn't have any this year, so we're using $25,000 from there. And then the large one is group insurance. We're projecting a $450,000 surplus there. So throughout the year, we had various retirements and staff departures, some of which left our very expensive family health plans. And then traditionally, when we budget, we include plus or minus 10 employees. So if you assume that we brought on 10 new employees, that they were all going to get on a family plan. So we do build a bit of a surplus in that budget just to cover ourselves. And we also had a couple grants. So the SAFER grant that fire received for the 5 new firefighters, and the Public Health Excellence grant that flows through the health department. Those 2 grants get charged for benefits. So that's money that's coming back to the town to reimburse the general fund. So that made up all of the surpluses. So for a total of $655,000.
Great.
Any questions or
Nope.
comments?
No.
Thanks, Paige. Thanks, Marie.
Do we have to prove that?
Yes.
Yep.
All set?
Yeah.
Move to approve the fiscal year 26 year-end town manager transfers.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Okay. Mike, would you like to come forward? Next on the agenda is memorandum of agreements.
Good evening, members of the board. Just 2 quick proposed. I'll all MOAs between the town and Steelworkers Unit A and B, consistent with the non-union pay plan that was approved by the board 2 weeks ago. That anticipated having a payroll and HR administrator, where that role would come out of Unit B. And so the proposed agreement that we have, that we already have with Unit B reflects that role would come out of the union. And also existing in Unit B, in Unit B is a DPW office administrator, and we have agreement with the Steelworkers Union to include that role, in Unit A, which is actually the supervisor's union, rather than Unit B. So those are what really two housekeeping MOUs. That's essentially what both agreements really seek to do here. We do have agreements with the union already.
All right. Okay, great.
Good. Ready?
Yeah.
Motion to approve a memorandum of understanding between the town of Foxborough and the United Steelworkers, AFL-CIO, CLC Local 9517, Unit A.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.
Move to approve a memorandum of understanding with and between the town of Foxborough and the United Steelworkers, AFL-CIO, CLC Local 9517, Unit B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Town manager's update?
Yes, okay. Here we go. Back to what you mentioned, Bill, for the first thing I want to bring up is our open boards and committee seats. We have an application on the website to be filled out if anybody's interested. We strongly encourage to get involved. It's highly rewarding, and it's great to know what's going on in town. We do have an opening for a planning board alternate position, so that's a very important position, saying I used to be in the planning side of things. We also believe there will be openings on the advisory committee. That always goes through Frank, but we assume that he might be looking for people, so we took the liberty of putting that in there. The design review board has 2 openings. The agricultural commission has 3. Cable TV has 4. Clean Up Foxborough has an unlimited number of open seats. Economic development has 3 seats. The Foxborough Affordable Housing Trust, which doesn't meet, has 1. So if you want a committee that never meets, that's your committee. Foxborough Commission on Disability, you have 1 seat. Foxborough Cultural Council has 14. Historic District Commission has 1. Permanent Municipal and School Building has 1. And Veterans Service Advisory has 4. So please, if any residents are listening, please do volunteer. It's a great way to get involved and learn what's going on. I have another update about SEMREC. That's our Southeastern Mass Regional Emergency Communications Center. We share that with Easton, Mansfield, and Norton. And as of now, there is a planned, we have just signed a merger, an intermunicipal agreement to allow an administrative merger with MEC. That's the Metacomic Emergency Communication Center, and I believe that's 6 towns: Franklin, Norfolk, Rentham, and a few others. So what this means, it's not an actual merger of operations, but our director, Rob Radone, will become the director of both organizations, because we have been working towards a merger, but the state has been a little slow rolling it. So for now, what we're doing is working towards having Rob sort of oversee both, and it will allow both groups to continue to work towards an ultimate merger, which was always planned, and in hopes to keep costs down, it allows us to do that. So right now, this IMA is for 1 year initially, but it's renewable for 1 to 3 years by mutual agreement, and either party can terminate for convenience within 180 days' notice. MEC is going to pay SEMREC $200,000 a year, reduced by $26,000 for a consulting credit, and the first invoice goes out August 1st. The governance, each board will retain their full authority over its own entity, so no joint body is being created through this. It's just the executive director is accountable to both boards separately, and there's a conflict resolution process within the IMA. The employees, the exempt staff from either entity can be assigned to support the other, but employment relationships and liabilities are going to stay with their original employer. And then basically this agreement, it frames this as laying the groundwork for the eventual merger of the two organizations into one shared service. So TBD on how all that goes, but, you know, Rob does a great job up there, and we have full faith in him, and we're looking forward. I am the chair of that, so I get to be the front row seat to all of this, so, but really, let's be real, Rob does the heavy lift there, so, but I wanted to keep you all updated. From a strategic plan update, just want to remind folks that we did have a table at Founder's Day. Hopefully, some of you saw us there. We had a great time. And there is going to be an open house at the community center on September 29th from 3 to 7. And that's just a walk-in. You do not have to stay from 3 to 7. World Cup, I'm just getting updates from the chief. So we're more than halfway through as of now. The game, the latest match is over, and we've had really very little traffic. I do know the businesses uptown are suffering. The restaurants, unfortunately, this is not helping our local sort of uptown businesses. Patriot Place is certainly booming, but you know, I've heard anecdotally that Union Straw had one of their slowest Saturday nights ever, and you know, we're really seeing. Really, I mean, people have heeded the warnings. Yeah. Even in Franklin, where I live, I mean, it is crickets out there during match time. The highways, everything. Good and bad, but fortunately, our public safety have just done a phenomenal job preparing for this. I had the opportunity to go get a tour of the MOC, which is the command center, and the whole sort of campus during the match last Tuesday, and I just can't say enough about, you know, the men and women of public safety and what they're doing. And while it might, you know, some might say, oh, well, nothing's happened, this was all overkill, you know, we don't say that. That's what insurance is. Insurance is basically, you know, you pay to make sure you're protected in the event of the worst. And, you know, I read all the security briefings throughout the nation. You know, there are actors out there. So but our team is doing a phenomenal job, and hats off. And really the state as well, MBTA has come through, Mass DOT. So we're really seeing it. We have had some online complaints about some parking enforcement. I want to acknowledge that. That is, you know, on one hand, I understand, and I feel like I want residents to be able to make money, and that seems fair, but we do have a traffic management plan. We have our police chief who has to manage, you know, the sort of access to certain roads. And also we have folks that do follow the rules and want to follow the rules, and they might not appreciate having multiple cars in their neighborhood. So it's a balancing act. I'm sure I'm going to be hearing about it, but I did want to acknowledge that and sort of explain sort of what's behind it. But overall, World Cup has been, you know, and I hope folks have sort of had a chance to meet some of the people. I did go up to Patriot Place with the Tartan Army on Friday, just as a civilian, and walked around, and it's magic. Last night I met about 8 gentlemen from Ghana. They were in Westboro. I was out to dinner in Westboro, and I saw them, so of course I had to talk to them. But I'm glad I did, because they had these big bags, and I was like, you can't bring those in. And so I brought up the clear bag policy, and I was going over it with them, and now Chief Grace just sent me a picture of the trailer where folks had to store their oversized bags, and the line looks hundreds deep. And I'm like, well, my 8 guys are not in that line. So I think we've really shown, you know, sort of warmth. They've shown warmth to us, and it's really been heartwarming. And I wasn't really understanding World Cup, but I can now see into the magic as you see social media. So it's been pretty cool. Let's see. Lastly, we have no town licenses and no current jobs open. We do have some openings, but we feel we have good candidates, and they're in the process of being reviewed. And lastly, I will be on vacation from July 10th to July 21st. That's all I have.
Have fun.
Good.
Thank you. I agree.
Thank you.
You just,
Select Board update. Does anybody have anything that they would like to bring forward?
no, I got nothing.
No, all is quiet.
Okay, let's keep it that way. Action items?
Okay, motion to accept the donation from Claudia O'Leary in the amount of $300 to the Foxborough Youth Police Academy for 2 scholarships.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.
Motion to accept the donation from the Friends of Foxborough Seniors in the amount of $400 to the Foxborough Community Center for the Smoky Bites event.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.
Motion to accept the donation from Roger C. and Cynthia Rumsey in the amount of $1,500 to the Cultural Council to sponsor Pat the Fox.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Motion to accept the donation of 2 trees from Schneider Electric to be planted on Payson Road.
Second.
Payson Road, what's, at the park area, is that what we're referring to?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Actually, don't have that level of detail.
Let me get back to you on that one. I'm
Okay,
just looking
well, I'm fine accepting it, I just was.
Yeah, I'm just curious. That's a pretty
Middle of the road,
well-treated
side of the road.
Yeah, right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none.
Motion to appoint Linda Mahaley to the Foxborough Cultural Council for a term to end May 31st, 2029.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.
Motion to approve a poll petition from Massachusetts Electric Company and Verizon, changing pages, New England Incorporated requesting permission to install one JO pole on 45 Walnut Street, beginning at a point approximately 300 feet southwest of the center line of the intersection of Commercial Street and Walnut Street. National Grid to install a new pole, 18-50, for new recloser. The pole will be located between poles 18 and 19 on Walnut Street in Foxborough, Mass.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none.
Motion to approve a poll petition from Mass Electric and the Verizon New England, Inc., requesting permission to install one JO pole on 130 Chestnut Street, beginning at a point approximately 170 feet southeast of the center line of Mechanic Street and Chestnut Street. National Grid to install new JO pole 24-50 plus or minus 55 feet from pole 24. Pole located between poles 24 and 25 on Chestnut Street. This pole will be installed to support new overhead transformer on 130 Chestnut Street in Foxborough, Mass.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.
Motion to approve the additional data sheet submitted by Kraft Sports and Entertainment Group for the New England Patriots 2026 football season for preseason, regular season, home games, as well as 3 potential playoff games.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none.
Motion to approve the additional data sheet submitted by Kraft Sports and Entertainment Group for the Chris Brown and Usher, the Rhythm and Blues Tour for August 17, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.
Motion to approve the additional data sheet submitted by Kraft Sports and Entertainment Group for the Carol G. Viajandro por El Mundo Troubadour for September 12, 2026.
Second. Well
All
done.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing
Got a
none.
little nervous on that one. Move to approve the Select Board meeting minutes from June 9th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Oh,
Do you want to know about the tree?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's Natalie Boyd from Schneider Electric. She's their sustainability project manager. They were donating 2 trees plus the volunteers to plant and care for the trees for the first 6 months for the trees to become established. And Chris has yet to pick the spots, but they will be along the road of Payson.
Oh, along the road itself, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's great. The maintenance, I mean, the upkeep is the best part, keeping them alive.
Motion has been made to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.